Dodi livani lo haroe. Dodi livani lo haroe. Dodi livani lo haroe. Dodi livani lo haroe. ובצהלה תוך אמוני העם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה
לך דודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבל לה 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 לך דודי לקראת קהלה הנה שבת נקבל לה
kindness being kind oh loving kindness living kind will you choose the love inside you been put down by what we've been through can you imagine what we do to one another and what we say to each other
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everyone who is here in person. Oh, I have a friend. Do you hear that? Okay, that's weird. Boop. Let's see if Jake's does it. Sorry, if you're not here in person, you don't hear the echo, hopefully.
Shabbat Shalom.
I don't know. Do you hear it? I've been hearing it for a couple weeks. Something happened at some point, but we're going to ignore it, and we're just going to sing Hine Matov, page 10. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Just like that again. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. 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 I think it was my iPad. Hello? Can you hear? I think you could turn me. Yeah. It was playing on my iPad.
Got it. Figured it out. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We'll start with lighting our candles. Did you?
I didn't ask anyone. Who you know what? Yes. Andrew has been gone for 3 months. We have missed him, his presence. He's an active member of the intergenerational choir. Fun fact, he wraps every single B'nai Mitzvah gift. Although now that he has a fractured hand, I think that's a little more difficult. But he has a beautiful wrapper. We are on page 2 and page 3 for the candle blessings. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech
haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner
Lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Welcome back, Andrew. Be careful walking down.
We will continue with Shalom Aleichem, which is on page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
As we sit here in this moment before Shabbat begins, in this moment of transition, it's customary to review the week that we've had. It's called Chazarat HaShavua, a review of the week. We consider where we've been in the past week and where we want to go in the week to come. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. Our tradition has us greet the Shabbat, greet the Sabbath as a bride. I've never been to a wedding where no matter what, I mean, if I was in a crummy mood, that it didn't lift up my spirits. And I think that's part of our commandment here to greet the Sabbath as a bride. It tells us no matter where we've been this week, whatever our experience this week, we're coming to this moment of celebration, a moment that can't be contained or kept down. So we sing the words of Lecha Dodi, which are on page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shama v'zachor b'ribur echad, hishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri kiva orech kumi uri shir daberi kevoda Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. We rise as we face the entrance to officially welcome the Shabbat bride. We also welcome a sense of Sabbath within our hearts. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha usochola toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Please stay standing. We continue with Baruch Hu, our call to prayer on page 28. For those who haven't been here. Yalalai, 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 yalalalai, yalalai, 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 yalalalai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. Yalalai, yalalai. You may be seated. Yalalai, 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 yalalai.
At a time when there's so much division in our world and even within our people, these words, the words of Shema, which we're about to recite, have always kept us together. They've defined us, and they have been an idea that we share with all Jews, and also with this idea, this one God idea is the thing that connects us to all humans across the world. So we start with Shema on page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha. Page 36. V'hayu
Hadvarim ha'elech
asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shitecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'shochbecha u'v'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אלוהיכם. Amen.
These last words that we just chanted, Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, I took you out of Egypt. Remind us we're in this season leading up to Passover.
It's 2 weeks from Monday.
yeah,
Is that possible? Wait,
so-
is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, somehow we had an extra month this year, as we often do, and also it crept up. It feels like it crept up.
That's true.
So we're already liturgically or scripturally in our cycle getting ready. It starts sort of like 6 weeks out or so, building towards our moment of our celebration of liberation in Passover. And so as we're well within that, and so as we sing the words of Micha Mocha tonight, which come from this moment of liberation, they come from the moment of crossing the sea. Tonight we sing it aspirationally. When we sit at our seders, we'll be reminded that we're each supposed to experience the Passover as though we ourselves were brought out of Egypt. And so that puts us today on the calendar in a moment of getting ready. We're still in our bondage, but we sing this song aspirationally, looking forward to that moment of true freedom. Micha Mocha is on page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, just like that. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה Adonai, mi kamocha netar b'kodesh, mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha netar b'kodesh. That melody was written by Dan Nichols. Very, very popular melody that I've never actually really brought to this temple. Someone asked me last night, why are there so many different melodies? And I turned to her and I said, well, what melody are you used to singing for Micha Mocha? Of course, it's hard to pull a melody out of your head, but every temple has a different, minhag hamakom, and our temple, I would say, our most popular is ya ba ba bim bim ba ya ba ba, Yeah. But anyways, I like to use Simply Shabbat as an opportunity to also bring new melodies.
I love that one.
You do?
Yeah,
Good.
thank you. In this week's Torah portion, we start to really get into the laws of kashrut, the laws of things that are kosher. And, whoops, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
I mean, how you can tie either Misha Berach or Vishamru into the laws of kashrut, I'm waiting.
I got it.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
All right.
So when we reach our Amidah in a few minutes, I invite you all to reflect on what it means. These laws of kashrut. I don't keep kosher personally. I'm going to admit that on the bima, and I know many of us don't. But there's this underlying idea here that connects, that supports, that girds the idea of kashrut, which is this connection between what we do here with our bodies in our own lives and the ultimate, the divine. And there's some connection between how we behave and our connection to that divinity. And we don't know what it is, but we're going to try. So I invite you to reflect on this dynamic, on this connection, this ephemeral, inexplicable something as we reach our Amidah, our height of encounter, of prayerful encounter. But before that, we will say words of Mishaberach, which it's customary to do in a Torah service. So as we've just shared these words of Torah before we reach our Amidah, we'll pray our Mishaberach, our prayer wishing for healing for those who are needing healing of body, of mind, of spirit. We'll sing the words of the first verse all together, and then I'll pass my hand across the congregation, and I invite you to share the name of anyone you're thinking of today who needs any kind of healing. And you don't need to wait for a turn, just shout it out as I'm coming across.
And if you're online, please begin to enter the names, and I will try and catch you on there.
We're on page 253.
Avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
As a community, we think of Levi ben Avraham, Jill Kahn, Megan Cavallari, Eitan Chaim, Woody Clark, Susan Davis, Judy Fenton, Tanaz Falati, Glenn Grimmett, Sheer Gaon, Andy and Helene Hale, Leah Horst, Mitchell Levy, Brad Londy, Sarah Batmalka, Kathleen Agnes McCarthy, Velvo Ben Mayer, Juan Martinez, Sheila Merowitz, Sarah Bat Malka, Rachel Moran, Howard Rosen, John Rosakoff, Lindy Sobel, Mabube Soleimani, Paul Velick, Helena Wachtel, Freddie Wolf, Michael Woolen, Andy Wu, and Howard Zellico. From online, Paulette Miller, Panina Tova, Marilyn Marcus, Pearl Boxer, Lois Lebman, Rita Newman, Andy Hale, Judith and Audrey Bennis, Lupe Diaz, Mary and family, Louis Wiener, Judy Fenton, and Jerry Strife.
Imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So we've now reached that Amidah, and again I invite you to consider how it is that in this time, this week, this Shabbat, or the week to come, we're embodying our connection to the divine. And we'll enter the Amidah, we'll rise together and enter the Amidah with the words on page 46, and then we will continue privately with the words from our heart or the words from the book. And when you've reached the conclusion of your own prayers, I invite you to have a seat. Again, we're on page 46. 46, please rise.
Adonai tzvatai tiftach, Adonai tzvatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha, ufi agid tehilatecha. It's been 180 days, 180 days since the hostages were taken. And I stood on the bima the week after October 7th, 2 weeks after, a month after, 2 months after. And I sang this piece, this prayer of solidarity with Israel, Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael, a prayer that was not so familiar to us because we didn't really need it in the last over 100 years. It was found in the Standard Prayer Book in 1913 because there were hostages in World War I. It has never been so popular in our hearts, so needed than now. It says, "Our family, the whole house of Israel, who are in distress or in captivity, who stand either in the sea or dry land, may the Omnipresent have mercy on them and take them out from the narrowness to expanse, and from darkness to light, and from oppression to redemption, now, swiftly, soon." Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael, Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael, Hanetunim Batzara Uvashivya, Haomdim ben bayam uvein bayasha. Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael, Achenu Kol Beit Yisrael, Hanetunim Batzara Uvashivya, Ben Hondim ben bayam uvein bayasha. Hamakom yera
ירחם עליכם ויוציאי מצרה לרווחה ומה יביא לאורה ומעיבוד לגאולה השתה בגלה ובזמן גרים המקום ירחם עליכם ויוציאי מצרה ומה יביא לאורה ומעיבוד לגאולה השתה בגלה ובזמן גרים השתה בגלה ובזמן גרים אחינו כל בית ישראל אחינו כל בית ישראל הנתונים בצרה ובשביה העומדים בין בים ובין ביבשה. We pray for all of those hostages, all of the people who are innocent civilians to be returned to safety soon.
Can you hear me all right? Great. So before I started this journey to the rabbinate, I had a first career as a writer, as a speechwriter and other kinds of communications consultant, as a ghostwriter. And I suppose actually in rabbinical school, I'm still called on to write a good deal. But one of the phrases that I learned early on as a writer, phrases, ideas, lessons, one of the most important lessons that I learned was kill your darlings. Has anybody heard this before? Kill your darlings. It's attributed to Fitzgerald. It's attributed to a few other sort of classic writers. And the idea is that often the words that you're the phrases in your writing that you're most attached to, you need to be willing to lose them, because sometimes as writers we form these connections to ideas or to sentences or to language that we think that's where the idea is. For me, that was always where it came up. I'd start with a draft and something from my early days. I'd have this idea that this is where the speech was, or this is where the idea was. And as I fleshed it out over hours or days or weeks, I'd learned that the thing that I was writing was something else. And I'd still have this sort of extraneous line that I just loved so much the way it sounded, or I was emotionally connected to it because it's where the piece started. But it wasn't the thing. And I had to learn to distinguish between what's this thing that I have this affection for, or this connection to, but isn't the true thing. It's not the authentic thing that I'm trying to say or communicate in the world. So I've been reminded of that as we read this week's Torah portion, which includes the story of Nadav and Avihu, who are two of Aaron's sons. As we pick up in the story, the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, has been built. It's been dedicated. God has given clear and elaborate and specific instructions for a huge series of sacrifices that correspond to a variety of circumstances and various appointed times of the week and of the year. Aaron, Moses' brother, and his sons have been ordained as priests, and they've been appointed as priests. This lineage has been appointed as priests for all time, and the living ones are ordained, and they're garbed, they're cloaked in their priestly clothing. And the Mishkan, the tabernacle, is consecrated with its first round of offerings that go precisely according to God's instructions that have just been received. And yet, after this 8-day festival inaugurating the Mishkan, these two sons of Aaron's, Nadav and Avihu, they approach the altar in the Mishkan. They fill their fire pans, They put fire in them, and they lay incense in the pans. This is similar to what's been instructed for how offerings are to be made in the Mishkan. And then, as the Hebrew tells us, Vayakrivu lifnei Adonai esh zara asher lo tziva otam. They offered before Adonai alien fire, which had not been commanded to them. And then all of a sudden a fire came forth from Adonai and consumed them. Thus they died at the instance of Adonai. And then their brothers come and drag them publicly out of the camp. What? The text alone does not give us that much for why. We know it's alien fire. We know that it was at God's insistence. We know that they did something that was uncommanded. The commentators, our historical commentators, have filled in with varying ideas. Ibn Ezra and Sephorno and Rashi and others have all offered various versions of what went wrong here. Sometimes it's they were drunk. Sometimes it's they were sexually immoral, and it had nothing to do with any of the text here. But the idea that emerges the most is this idea that they were giving something divine treatment without divine instruction to do it that way. They did this thing like they would do this thing if their religious life demanded it of them, but it was something that was in fact alien to their religious life. Our commentators also, for what it's worth, they debate, was this an accident, or did they know they were messing up through just naivete, or just it was the first time, nothing like this had ever been ever happened before. But the consensus comes, the fundamental thing, whether it was motivated or not, and whether we know what the specific alienness was or not, is they treated something as God that was not God. This Eish Zara may have been the first example of what we call Avodah Zara in Jewish religious observance. Avodah Zara is commonly called idol worship, although you can more literally understand it as like Eish Zara is foreign fire or alien fire. This is alien worship, a sacrifice or a tribute to something, again, as though it's God that is not God. And Avodah Zarah has historically been something we guard against fiercely. In fact, it has, for a long time, this concern was combined with other commandments related to physical likenesses and images as one of the motivating reasons for this historic perception, although sort of a mistaken one, that Jews shouldn't have pictorial images within our sanctuaries, and that's been variously observed and not observed throughout history. Although I think now there's plenty of consensus that it's permissible, but this reluctance to go anywhere near Avodah Zarah has been something we've guarded very fiercely. And yet I worry so much of it has crept into our modern Judaisms, and not in the form of graven images. That's the language you usually hear. Perhaps most prominently and potentially controversially, I'm relaying an idea here. Rabbi Dr. David Berger, who is like the chair of history at Yeshiva University, argues that Chabad messianism constitutes Avodah Zarah. The idea, the insistence that the Chabad, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, it was the Messiah, is outside of the norms that we have until the 20th century guarded and practiced in Jewish life. On a less overt scale, not the claims of messianism, but we need to be on guard for sacralizing, treating as sacred that which is not sacred. I believe, and most of us who are here in a Reformed synagogue believe, that our tradition is open to many, many, many interpretations and approaches and theologies. But our Reform guides, our Reform sages have insisted that they've predicated it all on the idea of informed decisions, that we should learn from the tradition and draw from that our own decisions about our own behaviors, about what we're going to observe. The idea is that what we do, these interpretations and approaches, must spring from the sacred, from the thing that lives inside Jewish life, something that honors these core tenets and truths and traditions. And we may interpret them differently, but we must distinguish between the sacred, the things that derive from an authentic and expansive connection to Judaism, and the other things that matter to us a great deal, that we may treat as sacred, and at times even substitute for our genuine religious life. That's not to say we can't experience divinity or spirituality outside of these, like, the walls of religious life. I know that I have, and many people have, spiritual experiences at a concert, or taking in art, or some kind of performance, or, I mean, I know that I saw something indescribable in the moment that Shohei Ohtani struck out his teammate Mike Trout to win the World Baseball Classic for Japan over America. It was just a perfect moment that you couldn't have scripted any better. And I also think about Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who spoke of his participation in the civil rights movement as praying with my feet. All of these other things can be expressions or experiences of divinity, but they are not the same as religious life. So as liberal as we may be with interpreting Judaism, it isn't whatever we say it is or whatever we want it to be. It is a thing. It has internal ideas from which we must inform ourselves and make choices. What that's not is putting ideas on the same plane as Torah. I think we often are tempted to sacralize core concepts or values from our own lives that may express themselves in our Jewish life, but they don't spring from our Jewish life. And I'm thinking about nations and nationalisms and patriotism that correspond to our values, but are not the same thing as being Jewish or living Jewishly, or political affiliations that become so core to our identity that they transcend anything else that we think about ourselves. Or I think even as many Jews have come to almost treat as the core of religion, this idea of tikkun olam, which is a beautiful metaphor for repairing the world. But in Jewish life, it's sort of actually a fringy concept of rabbinic lawmaking in the Talmud. Or it's a really complex, mystical, Kabbalistic framework that exists only within a framework that I think many Jews, contemporary modern Jews, would find sort of uncomfortable or problematic. I think lots of people sacralize their work, that self-fulfillment, and that's incredibly important. And of course, we can serve divine and nurture divinity and connect to divinity by finding our personal purpose. But that's not the same as religious life. Divinity, of course, can be encountered in nature, but it's not the same as doing Jewish life. I think sometimes we treat the discourse in our world as having an intrinsic needing to be elevated to keep this intrinsic sort of sacredness or civility. But I'm not sure that springs from our tradition. I'm also still looking for liberty as a Jewish value. I haven't actually found liberty. This is the thing I've been looking for in rabbinical school, is where do we actually see liberty as a Jewish value? I think we have ideas of freedom, but personal choice is not really there. And I get uncomfortable when we see various organizations insist that it's a Jewish value. I don't think that Jews who cross this boundary, and I cross it all the time, I don't think that we're going to get smote from above, like Nadav and Avihu. But I worry that this connection, this elevation of things from outside of Jewish life, keep us too grounded in the mundane and the profane to take in the big picture. Moreover, commingling our religious life with our own independent worldly ideals invites religious disappointment should those worldly endeavors fail. Our religious faith should not be shattered by a lost election or a devastating news development or even a war. When we distinguish between that alien fire, that Esh Sarah, and the sacred within our tradition or within our spiritual life, we can realize what Nadav and Avihu sought, which is korban. That's the term that we use even in this language right here, yakrivu. They offered. That's our word for offering or sacrifice is korban. But what it means is drawing near. If we make this distinction, we can dive into and adhere to this tradition of ours in whatever way feels authentic for ourselves, but in a way that draws ourselves nearer to each other and nearer to our people and our history, and most importantly, nearer to whatever that divine spark is that lives within each of us. Shabbat Shalom. We'll begin to finish our service with Aleinu, which is on page 282. Please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא 27 ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
After that moment of Nadav and Avihu's death, there's this one sentence, this two-word sentence that gets a ton of attention. In our tradition, Vayidom Aharon, and Aaron was silent. And for as many interpretations as there are of why his sons were punished and what went wrong and whether it was intentional or not, there are as many interpretations for this moment. There are many ways to grieve. There are many ways to grieve in the Jewish tradition. One of those ways is to bring those names out, to keep the names in our mouths and to share them with our communities. If you are here tonight because you are observing Shiva, the first week following the death of a loved one, I invite you to rise now and share that person's name with us. Or if you're here to observe Shloshim, the first month following a death, I invite you to share that name with us. If you are here to observe a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a death, I invite you to rise and share that name with us.
Jeremiah and Mike.
We add to these names from our congregation Jack Barenfeld, Clement Franco, Teal Meisenberg, Linda Melser, Albert Newman, Lois Sherman, and Abram Zuckman.
We also have Nadia Telsey.
We rise now to say Kaddish, to say Kaddish in solidarity with the mourners among us, as well as to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. The words of mourners Kaddish are on page 294.
Gadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yoteh ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lomei almaya,
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh
v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shmu rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
May the one who makes peace on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humans who mourn. And together we say,
Amen.
Please be seated.
For those online, Sarah, do you want to show the Kaddish names that we forgot to direct to that? I want to give a moment. Anyways, everybody online might be seeing the names. We're still figuring out this system in here, but we do have announcements. It is nice to be back in here. Feels like This is the first week in 4 years where we're figuring out our system. So next Friday night, please join us. As you can see, Cantor Yona Klieger's son, Emmett Klieger, he has this museum exhibit that he created called the ASAP Museum Anti-Semitism Awareness Project, and he's going to have it all displayed in the social hall starting next week. And Emmett will be here and Sydney will be here next week. So please come and support Emmett, who grew up here at the temple, and give them a hug and Sydney a hug. Cantor Yona Klieger, who was my cantor growing up, who now works in Burlingame, but it's his son. So please join us he's 16 years old. He was in, Paxton's class. Okay. Oh, I don't talk about that.
Well, our marvelous cantor, Lizzie Weiss, has been here for a whole decade. It's hard to believe. And yet, of course, it's easy to believe because she's left such an indelible mark. And I know I'm not the only one who's so grateful to have her as our cantor, teacher, friend. So this year, our annual gala is honoring Lizzie's wonderful first 10 years, first of many decades here. And it really celebrates, among other things, her journey from Broadway to the Bema, and she's preparing, I know, a really wonderful evening. We, all of us are preparing a really wonderful evening with special guests. Cantor Weiss can tell us a little more about it.
I mean, it's just a dream come true, honestly. You know, I like the gift that I'm getting for 10 years is to be able to have a temple who is allowing me to create this concert. So yes, Seth Rudetsky, who here knows Seth Rudetsky, Sirius Satellite Radio, he does the Broadway show, he does, all these shows at the Wallace with Audra McDonald, Norm Lewis, and what? Did somebody say something? Okay. So Seth is coming, he's sort of hosting, and Anna Gasteyer from she was also happened to been in Wicked with my brother in Chicago. And then the last two are two of my best friends. It's doing that, the mic. Jelani Remy, who's currently starring as the mayor in Back to the Future on Broadway. And he was Simba for like 7 years in Lion King and so many other things. Proud. Ariel Jacobs, who just starred as Imelda Marcos in Here Lies Love on Broadway. And she was in Wicked. She was Vanessa in The Heights. With Lin-Manuel Miranda. I could go on, and most importantly, she was Gabriella in High School Musical in the Broadway show on tour with me. So it's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful night. It is 6:30 to 7:30, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and then a concert. So it is not a sit-down gala, just so everybody understands. And thank you already. There's people here who have been sponsors. This is a fundraiser, so every penny counts. So please join us. Okay, enough about that. Let's move on to Jake.
Oh, yeah.
Jake's class started last week.
That's right. For 3 weeks, we're talking about Jews and the American presidency. As I alluded to, I was a writer first. I started as a political speechwriter, and so this is bridging a little bit of that history in my studies now. We're talking really about Jewish American identity formation in relation to American presidents. So we're not talking about policies or politics. We're talking about what do we learn about Jews and Jewish history in America, and where we fit in and where we have fit in by looking at this connection to the chief executive.
And it's only on Zoom?
Yes.
And is it okay to join this week?
It is non-sequential.
Non-sequential, okay. Fantastic. Tomorrow night, I will actually be there participating, not leading, on the Sound Bath Havdalah. After it, I don't think we have no, we don't. After the Sound Bath Havdalah, there's a young professional event, tacos, trivia, and a little tequila. Is that what it's called? I think so.
Is there Torah too?
No, there's no Torah.
Wow.
The Torah will be among us. So.
We are the Torah. This is the Torah of our lives.
Torah comes from the word for instruction, so sure. But come get really, really calm with this wonderful sound bath led by Rabbi Albin and our congregant Renee Noah Harris, who's just unbelievable with the sound bath bowls. Please join us. And then Rabbi Albin's have already had like 3 of these, but these are the remaining 2 outdoors groups. So Sunday, April 7th. Is that this Sunday? Yes. At 10 o'clock is a nature walk, but I don't have any details, but go to tbh.org/outdoors group. Okay. As we said, it's almost Passover. So there's a lot of resources on our website, but there's actually 2, hold on, I'm going to go back, 2 big things that we have coming up for Passover. To launch Passover, please join us, the St. Bridget Choir, and actually Urban Voices from Skid Row for a Songs of Freedom concert. This is, I think, our 4th annual Bird Goldstein sponsored concert. It's interfaith. It is a lot of fun. Gospel choir, us, all of the kids, Andrew, hopefully, will be there. And it's night before Passover. So take a break from your cooking, come be with community, and really celebrate this concept of freedom before we reflect on it the night after. I'd really love for you to be there. And then the second thing is we're doing this Passover potluck and learn on the Wednesday night of the week of Passover. So it says bring your favorite homemade Passover dish and recipe to share. It's as much about that as it is about studying a little bit of Song of Songs. But please join us for that. And we have so many RSVPs already. Heal as we rise with Rabbi Aaron's wife, Michelle Aaron, is coming. She's back in town from Ruth Bader, being on tour as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she will be teaching us how to make her delicious challah. I will do a little teaching.
Before you clear out all your chametz.
Yes, exactly. 10 more days. You will have 10 more days to eat. No, not even 10. Wait, I can't figure it out. 10. Yeah, that's right. Okay, we talked about that. I think that's it. I'll just conveniently leave that one up. Wait. Yeah, I'm good. I also have to say Rabbi Aaron will be back from his sabbatical May 1st, but May 3rd is his first service back for Shabbat Unplugged. So
Which has been on sabbatical along with him.
That's true. We have not done Shabbat sabbatical, I've almost said. Yeah. We have not done Shabbat Unplugged in the round in the sanctuary since November. I cannot believe we did it, Jake. Almost. 3 weeks, but don't remind Rabbi Aaron that now. But come give him a big hug. That first Friday we also have some blessings for graduating seniors and some teen awards. Okay, I've talked so much. Thank you to Elizabeth. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, our executive director, Sarah, who's also running the video and greeting everyone. Thank you to our security and maintenance and everybody who is watching online.
And thank you for all of you for filling this space with spirit.
Absolutely. Oh, speaking of Rabbi Aaron, if you guys want to stand up, put your arms around each other. We're going to close with Oseh Shalom, written by Rabbi Aaron. Oh, say shalom, bimroma, huya, say shalom, aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen. Oh, say shalom, bimramav, huya, say shalom, aleinu, ve'akol yoshvei tevel, ve'imeru, amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Join us. I'm going to start the kiddush right here, but there's wine and juice in the back.
And also Shabbat morning services tomorrow here at 10.
Services tomorrow morning with me and Rabbi Albin. Morning. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh bereishit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim אותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים. Baruch. Somebody would put their hands on the challah. Andrew, you're going to hold it up? Oh, you can't. You can put your hand on it. You can reveal the challah, Andrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat shalom.